welcome to part 4 of Obiwan Kenobi on Media and More. I'm the mediocre modeler. I know you're thinking, mediocre modeler, shouldn't you be building models or something? Yeah, but you know, you do that all the time, you become a one-trick pony, but besides, paint's gotta dry, epoxy's gotta cure. So, in the meantime, without going squirrel, we're doing this. So, we're on Episode 4 of Obiwan Kenobi. And if you remember last time, Kenobi was burned, Leia's been captured, okay? And they had, Vader and Obi-Wan had they had a confrontation. We're not going to call it a fight, because it was not a fight. And Obi-Wan is whisked off by our Imperial officer to Jabin to heal, because his shoulder got burned, and Leia obviously was captured by the third sister. Obi-Wan opens with Obi-Wan in a bacta tank. So Obi-Wan's in a bacta tank. Darth Vader's in a bacta tank. So they're sharing a bath. Okay, be it, across the galaxy long distance, but Obi-Wan is having, the visions of the fight that they had, the confrontation that they had, and he wakes up. There's a psychic connection there between he and Vader, Anakin, because you can see both of them kind of writhing and jumping in the bacta tank. Obi-Wan pops out of that tank, and the first thing, where's Leia? So, at this point, Obi-Wan's all in. Nothing else matters but Leia. I'm good with that. Switch to the third sister with Leia at the Inquisitorium. And quite frankly, she's doing a pretty good job of being intimidating to Leia. I mean, at this point, if I were a kid watching this, I would be like, oh my goodness. And I'm believing it more than I did. So on this level, it actually does work. I'm going to give her points. I will say this for Leia. She was throwing that, I am a princess of Alderaan. She's throwing that around like, people are actually supposed to do something. And, in her circles, most likely, people actually do. Yeah. And then, the Inquisitor comes in and just like, that's cute. That's not going to wash here. The one thing I will say about the actress playing Leia is I think they push her a little bit too far sometimes and try to get her to express emotions that she hasn't experienced yet. And it shows a little bit when the third sister says, Obi-Wan's dead, no one's coming for you. And she tries to do that quivery lip thing, and it doesn't quite work because it's not quite believable. But it's minor moment that took me out of the flow of what was going on. Then we switch back to Obi-Wan and our Imperial officer, and we get introduced to Rogan. And at first, I think, oh, this isn't going to go well, because just like, his first thing is, you need to get him out of here. He puts everyone in danger. And I just figured, here's just another guy that's just not, he gets it, but Obi-Wan is not his concern. And Obi-Wan says, a child's in danger or something like that. And his response is, and I didn't catch this until I watched it this time, and so is every kid that can float or rock. I was like, oh wow. For some reason that was just like, yeah, that's pretty desperate, And I'm still thinking he's like, he doesn't care about Obi-Wan, but then he says, General. At that point, I'm just like, okay, he knows what he is. He has complete and utter respect for him. this is even before we get the fact that his wife was killed, and she was, if not a Jedi, at least a Force user. So far, they're throwing people at you that you just... This also gives me a little bit more respect for our Imperial officer, because if he's legit, most likely she's legit. So they don't have enough intel on the Inquisitorius. All they know is it's on a waterman. Now, the likelihood of there being a water moon in the same system as a fire planet, yeah. But it's in the Mustafar system with Darth Vader. He's not, as far as I can tell, he's not there, but he's on the ship, he's close by. Here's where the story gets a little bit hinky for me, because they've got Leia, and for whatever reason, everyone on the Imperial side assumes she knows everything about the path. And she really hasn't experienced anything other than the one stop. I mean, they didn't go into great detail. They didn't give her star charts and everything, but so as far as I'm concerned, Leia actually really doesn't know anything. But that's not going to stop our Inquisitor from eking out every little bit of information from her brain. Leia plays a little bit smart and says, well, how did Ben die? And she's like, he was burned up. The people that just left him there, and I'm gonna go get him. You know, we're gonna get the safe houses, and because we thought it was a lie. And she finally was like, yeah, this doesn't smell right. And she's like, I don't know anything, and that's all you're gonna get out of me. And without missing a beat, the Inquisitor's like, well, I guess we need to try a little bit harder. She needs to pull out the space library glasses and the ruler, and but we don't do that. That's corporal punishment. But it would really be funny. Here's another hitch in the giddy up. If this officer was supposed to be on the planet, and the squad that she went out to get Obi-Wan with all got killed, but she wasn't, it seems like they would immediately put her on, the lookout for list. I mean, there should be something, because there's been enough time between when they left that planet and where they are now, that some kind of alert should have been done. But, the Empire's a big machine. And as they're flying towards the planet, Obi-Wan's trying to use the Force and move this little thing across the table, and he's just struggling, and she gives him some good advice. She's like, man, you gotta let go of the past. And he's like, some things are hard to forget. Like, you gotta step it up, buddy. If we're gonna make it through, you're just gonna have to let the other, you don't have time. And I really think he's starting to take this to heart. And little by little, we're getting our Obi-Wan back. Officer gets off the ship. She walks in just like she's supposed to be there. Nobody pays attention to her. She gets down to our security door, and the officer on deck was just like, whoa, stop! You can't go in there. You don't have clearance. And she's like, I have level 4 clearance. I can go in. What are you doing? And I need to see your code cylinder. No, this is where it should have all fallen apart. He runs her credentials, and at the very least, she should have shown up as missing in action. But, at best, it was like, this isn't your section. I can't just let you in. And this is where she pulls out the Imperial. It's like, and who are you? I'm the high security officer on this level. And I'm your superior officer, and you should address me as sir. snapped into order real quick. I think maybe I need to tell the Grand Inquisitor about your insolence. You know, and he's like, well, why am I wasting my breath on you? And she just walks on in there. Sometimes it's all about attitude. I'll give you points. Bravo. I'll give you this one. Instead of Obi-Wan trying to sneak across the deck, they played it smart. They dropped him in the water, and he's going to swim in. That's a heck of a swim, I will say that. But once she gets into the little secret room, she's just like, Obi-Wan, I'm opening a thing for you. And he swims down to it. First of all, that looks like awfully deep water. Seems like the pressure should be messing with him, because it looks like he's a pretty fair distance below the surface of the water. But he had to get in somehow. I will give the stormtrooper this. He was alert enough to go, hey, there's something going on here. He opens the door and walks in to investigate. Score 1 kill for Obi-Wan. But what else are you going to do? I've invited a little friend along because this section kind of involves his kin to a certain degree. But first, the Inquisitor is really trying to drag this information out of Leia's brain. And to her credit, she's like, is this a staring contest? And she stops. She's just like, you're strong, you know. She kind of goads her a little bit. The stronger you act, the more afraid you are. All in the meantime, Lola decides to sneak out of her little pocket and attack her. With what? You're going to have her little spinning blade go for the jugular? I'm like, Lola, come on. You know, you should talk to your buddy. Yeah, you know, I had a droid once too. Get over it. They took everything away from me. Whatever. So Obi-Wan is talking to is Tala, you know, she's in this little room. There's only like 5 people in there, and she's going through the computer, and she's talking on her little thing. That doesn't look suspicious at all. Okay. But, you know, it's like, well, you need to go north. And Obi-Wan sees a seeker droid, which, this isn't a seeker droid. This is my version of a floating droid. But they look very similar. They're kind of flat. They got the arms and the pincers and everything. Good job. Good job on that. I will say that. And she looks on her screen and she can see them patrolling the hallway. So we got some problems. Well, this is about the time another officer kind of notices and like, that's not your station. Who are you? Come with me. And we leave the communicator sitting right there on the console. Well, I mean, there's another guy. I mean, and Obi-Wan's like, Tala, are you there? Are these guys so oblivious? They're just like, dude, you forgot your communicator. But what fun would that be? And it is kind of a callback to A New Hope. So, if you know, you know. As soon as they're out of earshot, Tala wastes no time dispatching her inquisitive Imperial officer. Now, how everyone else didn't hear her take him down, I don't know, because it was a very quiet room. But maybe that's the power of the Empire. They just train their people to stay in your lane, do your job, don't worry about anything else. In the meantime, Obi-Wan's been like, where you at? Where you at? But some stormtroopers come around the corner, and so he goes to hide behind a pillar. And just as they're walking by, she comes back. Obi-Wan, where you at? Did you hear that? They're not playing. They pull out their E11s. They go to investigate. And yes, Obi-Wan pulls out the old distractive noise from another area. And it works. Pretty good thump. They're like, it's over there. They leave. So the stormtroopers go off down another door. He finds the restricted area. As he gets inside, to his horror, he finds that they've been keeping Jedi that they've tortured or whatever. I don't recognize any of the Jedi. I'm sure someone's probably identified all these people. One of the Force users looked like it could have been Rogan's wife. I think that's the implication I got out of it. And then Obi-Wan stops, and there's a youngling, and that's when he just, I need a distraction. At this point, the third sister has really gone as far as she can go with Leia. She's tried to appeal to her and just like, these, we can do this. We're on the same team. Like, I'll tell you who you are, but I need to talk to my father first. We're on the same team, aren't we? And she's just like, yeah, one step too far, kid. We're done. And so they snatch her up, take her to the torture chamber. And I mean, huge room, red light, chair in the middle with very obvious, dangerous, pointy things on it. Strap her down, and Obi-Wan, I need a distraction. So our Imperial officer, she goes for broke. She goes to spill the beans to the Inquisitor. And just as she's saying, we found evidence of this base being out there. We need to go there immediately and take them out. And the third sister's is like, we could do that unless you're lying. Just about that time we switch back to Leia, she was just hollering, screaming, somebody help me, somebody help me. The lights go out. And so you've got Leia in the middle of the room. It's dark, stormtrooper, probably a good 10, 15 feet on either side. And just out of nowhere, lightsaber, stormtrooper down. That's 2 for Obi-Wan. Okay, and 1 for our Imperial officer. And at this point, the other guy's like, stay where you are. I'm like, why didn't you hit the alarm? Okay, there's obviously a problem. But no, stay where you are. Lights are whack, 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 done. That's another 1 for Obi-Wan. So, 3 kills for Obi-Wan so far. But he gets reunited with Leia. Big hugs all around. Let's get out of here. Third sister's not buying it. It's just like, okay, how can an old man and a little girl get through an Imperial garrison without help? Just admit you're a spy. And she goes, well, I am. And everyone's like, wait, what? And she goes, I was undercover for 2 years. I couldn't say anything because I would have given myself up and they would have killed me immediately. I mean, I had to get back here and tell you. They're on Flora, I swear. As Obi-Wan and Leia come sneaking out of the interrogation room. And she says, third sister says to Tala, I don't know if you're lying to me or for me, but we're going to figure it out. Take her to the interrogation. And just as that happens, probe droid, the seeker droid, sees them, sets off the alarm, chases them down the hallway. This is where the kill count starts to get really, really high. Now, Tala did something I've never seen anybody do, which up until now we've had stormtroopers against Jedi, so you don't have very much direct hand-to-hand combat. But, she puts her hands up, they take her weapon, as they should have, and just as they were going down the aisle and their sister's off trying to catch Obi-Wan, the alarm's going off, she grabs the helmet and she smacks the one trooper in his helmet, grabs the other one underneath the chin, pulls it down, grabs his weapon, shoots him with the... Yeah, that's probably the weakest point of the whole... Go Tala. So now you've got Obi-Wan running from the probe droid behind him with Leia in tow. He comes around the corner, 2 stormtroopers in front of him, so he's fighting on 2 fronts. He's deflecting both directions. You got the droid, you've got little electricity going through his little pincer arms, and Obi-Wan's doing a good job. Takes down 2 troopers, takes out the droid, run, come around another corner, 2 more troopers come at him, and they are in a hallway, and there's a whole squad coming at them. In the process of trying to stop all this firing get away, he deflects 1 blaster bolt into the side window. Remember, they're underwater, so you've got all this water pressure, and he's trying to hold the water back. Tala comes around, hey, Obi-Wan, hey, get her out of here. And so up to this point, we'll come back to that. So Obi-Wan is holding the water, trying to hold the water back. You've got a squad of stormtroopers behind a door that he deflected a bolt in to close the doors. They're trying to pull it apart, and they stick a gun through and take a couple shots at him. And he's holding the water back, and finally, he can't hold it anymore. The door opened, the troopers start to come in. Tali, run! He lets the water go, and he takes off running. He makes it through the door in just enough time to save himself, but drown the whole squad of troopers. So at this point, you've got Tala with 3, Obi-Wan with 18, and 1 droid. We still have the problem of how we're going to get this Jedi and little girl off this base across this launch bay to a ship. Luckily, one of the people that Obi-Wan killed was an Imperial officer. He had the long coat, so they put the hat on him and the long coat, and they hide Leia underneath. Now, I know there's hustle and bustle going on and everything. Everybody's trying to get to their duty station. But the one thing I noticed was Obi-Wan is the only Imperial walking around out there with a beard. I mean, unless he got a shaving waiver, I mean, come on. But they're walking out there and just like a little bit further, and here comes the third sister, traitor. And she's like, an old man and a little girl, was it worth it? You betrayed the Empire. I'm just like, that's never who I was, I'm just sorry. And she said, then you die for nothing. And then every trooper everybody, all these weapons. And you're going, how are they going to get out of this? And enter the T-47 speeder. We know it as the snow speeder. And oh boy, did they deliver. I tell you what, the T-47 probably, it's definitely in my top 5. Okay, if you go to the original trilogy, it's my number 1. I like it better than the X-Wing or the Y-Wing. The Snowspeeder, hands down. That's my ship as a personal fighter craft. But then you get into like the Jedi Starfighters, and those are pretty cool too. But we're getting off track. So explosion, half the squad's taken out. They go off at a dead run, taking out guys here left and right as they're going. One of the speeders lands, the pod opens. Now earlier in the episode, we find out that these T-47s are garbage haulers. Now, why a garbage hauler has laser cannons on it, I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. They get in and just as they're getting to it, there's two of them. So one's landed. He's jumping in. They're jumping in that one. Third sister tries to stop him. Other guy comes in and he's just hammering away at her, and she's just deflecting left and right. They get in. She takes off. Heads. And the other pilot's like, "Hey, leave her. Let's get out of here." And by this time, fifth brother shows up and he's like, "Stop them!" And just as the T-47 is starting to bank and get out of there, she picks up a power cell or something off the deck and flings it, knocks it out, blows it up. It goes down in the water. It's done. So give her points for that. She's definitely got some control of the Force, but they go through the clouds, they get in, they dock in there, and off they go. Enter Lord Vader, and he is not happy. I mean, he snatches third sister up, she's hanging in the air, and he's choking her, just like, "I told you what was going to happen if you messed this up." And she's just like, and he loosens his grip and he's just like, "I put a tracker on there." And she's like, "Okay, maybe I underestimated you. Are you sure?" Where it goes, where he goes, it goes. So, okay, now you're worried. But where's the tracker? Lola. And that's the end of the episode. I'll tell you what, these guys, they're doing it right. It starts off really slow, kinda, and mundane, and you hit that midpoint of the episode, and man, it's on fire. Boom, 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 boom. So that's episode 4, so we should only have 2 more episodes left in this series. So far, they're knocking it out of the park. I'm really... Okay, if you're watching this, and by this episode, if you're not all in, then you shouldn't be watching sci-fi. So, anyhow. So, me and my friend are going to see you next time. He may not be back. But, on the next episode, we'll see you back here for episode 5 of Obiwan Kenobi on Media and More.
Pew 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 pew.